Hello and welcome to A Breath of Fresh Career. I am, it's actually season 2, episode 2, joined here by a good friend of mine, Matt Chmura. He is the vice president of marketing and communications for the Boston Bruins. Go Bees. I known Matt for a bunch of years now, and I'm really thankful that you raised your hand to come on here with us. Matt's a husband, he's a father. He loves sports and sports marketing. And the last time I was in Boston, the guy knows where the best burritos are found in Boston. Viva Burrito. I'll throw a shout out to that place. Those things were like huge, you know?
They're
thank you so much for coming on.
No, happy to be here. Happy to do it. It's always fun to talk about and learn about different careers. So I'm happy to be part of the conversation.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I mean, professionally, oversee marketing, comms, broadcasting, community relations, and pretty much all content for the Bruins. Been here for this is my 15th season with the Bees, kind of generally doing the same stuff, just expanded duties as the business of sports has changed and over the past, decade that I've been here. And that's fun, and that's who I am professionally. Personally, I'm an active guy. I like to get out during COVID. I've taught myself how to surf. That's been my claim to fame. I live on the water in Boston and on the South Shore. So I had paddleboard before, and then in March I said I got to do something new. So I've picked up surfing during COVID. So that's my big accomplishment over the last year, I'd say.
You pile on a bunch of rubber to get out there in that cold water, or what?
Oh yeah, when I started in March, and like now, the last time I haven't been out in January, but I was out like the week before Christmas. I was out in the water, and like thick wetsuit, the hood. Basically, the only part that's exposed to my whole body is the eyes. But it's fun, man. This is when the best waves are. I've learned that the best waves are in the winter. So
I talked to a client of mine. What's today? Friday. Wednesday. We got this dumping and the wind and everything died down. He's on Long Island, and I talked to him. He was in his truck on the way to the beach to go surfing.
It's awesome.
This guy, by the way, I interviewed him on A Breath of Fresh Career. His name's George Stella. You should listen to it. It's great. He lived out in Hawaii, and I mean the guy's like world renowned surfer. It was funny. Awesome. I asked him. I was like, so like not knowing much about surfing, I'm like, George, what kind of board do you ride? And he's like, whatever they send me. It's like asking Marchand or Bergeron, like, hey, what kind of stick do you use? Yeah. He's like, well, I have my favorites, but I use pretty much whatever they tell me to use.
Yeah, like asking Rory McIlroy what kind of driver he hits. Like, I don't know.
Exactly. So back to biz here. What how'd you get your start in marketing? Because if you look at your background, I mean, you've had a really nice run in sports marketing. It looks like starting at Red Bull.
Yeah. So while I went to undergrad at Holy Cross, and while Holy Cross, went there thinking I wanted to be a lawyer, maybe do that. And as pretty much as it went, I realized that law probably wasn't where I wanted to go do with my life. And I love sports, so I started just working for the athletic department there, and basically sent out a bunch of letters. This is back in the late 90s, and email was a thing, but maybe not as big of a thing. So I sent out the old school letters to all the sports teams,
right,
in the 4 major leagues and Major League Soccer, which is kind of just getting off the ground, and ended up landing an internship with the New England Revolution, which led to an internship with the New England Patriots, which led to an internship with the Tennessee Titans. And then I was graduating Holy Cross, and I had gotten a job with, at the time they were called the Metro Stars, and then Red Bull bought us. So I got a job, kind of entry-level job doing PR and marketing stuff for the Metro Stars, Red Bulls. And, at first I was, if I'm being honest, I was probably a little disappointed that I was going to Major League Soccer instead of one of the big 4 leagues, but it turned out to be like the biggest blessing, because that league has done such a good job of kind of controlled growth. And I got to learn so many aspects of the business doing that. And really, I was 22 years old, living in Jersey, working at the old Giant Stadium. And it was just first in, last out, soak up everything I could, do my job and just soak up everything I could about the sports and entertainment industry in one of the biggest cities in the world and best places to do it. And so learned a lot. Like I said, Red Bull bought us. which was a little bit jarring because I had kind of found my footing. I was kind of rising the ranks within and the Metro Stars, which is owned by AEG, which is a global sports entertainment company. But Red Bull, the energy drink, bought us. A little jarring, ended up being amazing for me because at that time in Red Bull's history, they were like a pioneer in this like holistic brand concept of really living and owning a brand. And so and then finding ways to monetize that and that brand consistency and those brand values. And learned a lot from Red Bull and was really happy and content there. And the Bruins were coming through a change in their senior management, and through a mutual friend kind of got in touch with me and found me. And it was great. It was it worked out that I got to come home. And my first game back at the Garden was less than half full. And
Oh my
the
God.
team, like, we needed to rebuild the business and really make it more contemporary, I'd say. So dug in and started this trajectory. And like, listen, at that time the GM was Peter Chiarelli, and like he was starting to put a better team on the ice, and Claude Julien became our coach, and the on ice product was getting better, and concurrently the business side, we were growing and getting better. And in December of 2009 was the last time we haven't sold out the Garden. So it's over a decade
Wow.
ago that we then have turned it into kind of the machine it is today. And like the game has changed. Like when I say the game, the business game has changed over the years. Like we've moved into, at the time when I came, it was a lot of earned media, and like a traditional media buy. And like now, you're into that content creation and engagement via social channels and being strategic about each channel that we have and how we reach people and how we connect with our fans, and campaigns that we run digitally through the different channels. I mean, that's where it's going. And so it's been fun to not only grow as the team has had a lot of success on the ice, obviously winning a cup, going to 2 other finals, having 3 outdoor games, soon to be 4 outdoor games with Todd. I mean, there's been a lot of really great, on ice success, but I think the off ice success and the business success has been fun too. Just watching, first of all, us just transforming the business to be more contemporary, and then secondly to kind of adapt with the changing nature of fans, really, and how they consume the content and engage with the teams that they love and follow and are passionate about. So
It's funny making that connection, right? Major League Soccer, they say it's like has the largest sport following in the world, right? I mean, like, because of so many fans that you can fit in the stadium. And, in Europe, they don't have to, they don't have to market it. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what people, they have their team, the regions, all this other stuff. I mean, I was in Ireland 2 years ago, and I mean, like, holy cow, each area of Ireland has their own team, but you bring it to the US, and it's not as big as it is around the world. And you probably, I would think, you took a lot from your experience there and trying to build something here to going into the Garden with 50% capacity. And like, look at you guys. So this leads me to my next question. Everybody's got to wonder, like, what is it like working for, the Boston Bruins, man? Arguably, it's funny when I kind of started to outline this podcast, I think you guys were either tied for second or in second, but you're the number one, team in the East Division. I mean, you guys beat the Flyers earlier this week with an unbelievable comeback. Like, what's it like to work for, the most recognized best team in the NHL right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's demanding for sure, and that's a good thing. I think our fans expect a lot of us. I think the teams in Boston have had such a great run over the last 20 years of success, and kind of we all push off each other a lot, certainly on the sports side, but also on the business side. And we have such a passionate, engaged fan base that it's fun. It's fun. It's challenging every day to make sure that we maintain that level of engagement and produce content and to make sure our brand behaves in a way that is what our fans expect of it, and who our fans want to engage with. And so, like, certainly, being around the sport and players and the team, like that's fun. I think from a business perspective, what drives you is, there's so many brands yearn for the level of engagement that and passion that we have. And it's awesome to have seen that grow and to see it, to be a part of that growth. And now the challenge is to maintain it, right? And like, you don't want to fall and you don't want to lose it, and that's constant work. It's just like any relationship, right? Like, there's constant work to maintain that relationship and evolve over time and make sure that we're doing the right things to ensure that our fans want to still be fans of the Bruins. And like, sports used to have an advantage, right? Like, growing up, I couldn't watch McDavid play in Edmonton, right? Or like, if it was like football, you're like, maybe you got to see a Joe Montana game like once a week until the Super Bowl or whatever else. So, like, the rest of it, like, you're like waking up and reading it in the paper. Now
hearing about Jerry Rice just running how many yards he's running, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Right. And so, like, now the challenge that we face is that geographical, like, homerism that was inbred kind of in who we are doesn't exist for kids, right? Like, your son, like, he can watch McDavid anytime he wants, like, probably on his device, right? Like, he can sit there, like, and all of a sudden, like, McDavid scores a goal, and 2 minutes later, like, he's seeing the highlight reel, right? So, like, it's a challenge for us. The challenge that we have is to say, like, hey, we know the kids who play hockey in Boston. We know that hockey fans in Boston, it's super easy now to be fans of anybody in any team. Like, we want to make sure that we maintain that connection with the Boston fans, and we keep, Boston Bruins fandom like here, and not let it migrate somewhere else. So that's a challenge, and that's fun. That's something that we think about and talk about all the time.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and tie it into the fans. Like, COVID, fans aren't coming to games. Like, what are you guys doing differently this season, right, to stay connected? Is it all through social media? You mentioned content a bunch, but like, how's your job changed now than it was 2 years ago before the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I think just a lot of it. Well, so there's different pieces of it, right? Like, so first, when we just shut down, in April, in May, and June, and then this fall, between the restart and when that ended, and then the beginning of this season, it was trying to figure out how to keep the brand alive. Like, normally, you kind of move into the playoffs at the end of a season, and then whatever happens in the playoffs happens. And then you have these touch points, right? Like, you have the draft in late June, and then you have free agency in early July, and then you have like development camp in mid-July. And so you have all these touch points where you're touching the fans. And then, so like, then July 15, 16 comes, and then you're clear till like August 16th. So there's like a month where you have to worry about a little bit of downtime. And then by like August 16th, 17th, the players are all back at our practice facility. They're working out with the captain's practices, and the fans are starting to get juiced up about the season starting again. And you're kind of rolling, right? So it's really like that off season in a normal situation, in that downtime, is really like that 30-day window from like July 15 to August 15. And you can plan for it, and it's coming. So we'll do things like trips to guys' hometowns where we'll showcase, like we went to Slovakia a couple summers ago, and we're doing stuff from Z's hometown.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. I was he was giving sneakers away or something like that.
Yeah, or like pasta in Prague or whatever. So like, normally that's what you're doing, right? And like, normally, like right now, so like in February, like, I'm sitting down and I'm like, okay, like, what are we gonna do to fill that month in the summer? Well, this, like, the COVID shutdown, like, produced such a weird challenge where all of a sudden we were like, oh my goodness, like, we have a lot of dead time here that we're going to have to fill, that we're going to have to find ways to create content without the ability to actually go and shoot things or follow guys or do things that we're going to engage with our fan base with. And we've had to do it twice, like that first gap and then the second gap between the two seasons. And our players have been really great. I think we have a lot of guys that get it and want to support the business and trust us. And we were able to, focus on, using the platforms like this, like using Zoom, like repurposing old content, creating new content digitally around guys. And, And that's what it's been, right? Because you have a lot of people who are starved, especially in that first break, right? From whatever it was, March 13th to call it July 1.
Like the
there was
light switch
nothing
went
on.
off. Boom.
Yeah, like there was nothing on TV. Like there was old movies, old shows, and then so hockey fans are yearning for content, and our fans so finding ways to do that. And we spent a lot of time engaging with our season ticket holders, our best clients. So we spent a lot of time with them. And certainly our corporate partners or sponsors as well. But
yeah, I was going to ask you, I mean, you got a lot of the guys that are starting off, their own businesses, right? I mean, like I think about Marchand and, you got Marsh and Mill Company.
Yeah.
Are you guys tapping into that at all? Or is that doing it naturally for you? Like, because there's additional exposure for guys like that, it brings it back to the Bruins naturally. Like how are you, utilizing individual players and their efforts? I mean, it seems like a really cool company.
Yeah, it is a cool company, and they've done a great job with it. It's a tough one for us. That's kind of like an arm's length type thing, because we also don't want to listen, like players and their, look at it. Like Z is now playing for the Caps. Like he was our captain for 14 years. He plays for the Caps. I'm not saying that's going to happen to either one of these guys. We don't know. That's for our hockey ops. That's for our hockey ops group to decide, and their job is to try to win the Stanley Cup every year. From our side, we certainly support all our guys in their efforts to branch out and try new things and be entrepreneurial, whatever it is. And we'll promote it in the pro shop, and they launched that line through our pro shop.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So like, that's where we help them. But as they expand and grow and start to do their own things and their own content, like that's really for them. And it's a healthy balance and a healthy separation, I think, where we're there to support and help and guide when we can, but we also respect that it's theirs and it's not ours. And whether they at some point move on to a different team, whether they retire, no matter what they do, like that's theirs, and that can migrate with them to whatever they do next, whenever they're done playing for the Bruins, which who knows when that is, right? Like who knows?
Yeah, no doubt.
Hopefully not for a long, long time.
Right, exactly. especially with how everyone's playing. So tell the listeners the day in the life, man. From the moment you get up in the morning, like, where are you right now? We're on video on YouTube, A Breath of Fresh Career on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm at Warrior. I'm at Warrior Ice Arena.
Okay.
Spinning around. There's the ice right there.
Oh my God.
So that's
wow.
I'm at Warrior. I actually I just got COVID tested. We get COVID tested every day in order to be around the players. So you got to in these different groups that there are, if people that have player access need to get tested every day. So I just I'm here because I got tested this morning, and I'll work from here today. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the most fun parts of my job is that there is no normal, right? There is no day that is just, this is what happens. I think the most, the most normal part of my day is probably, the moment my alarm clock goes off. I try to run every morning, but before I run, like, it's check email, check Twitter real quick, make sure there's no breaking news or, anything good or bad that's gonna like throw my day.
No hashtags in there
from the morning,
Trump didn't hashtag the Boston Bruins.
Whatever it is, whatever it could be, like good or bad, could be anything from player rumors, like hockey rumors, to an issue somewhere or a prospect, or it could be anything, So that's the first thing. That's the first thing I do. And that's probably the only part that's consistent, and that's 7 days a week, 365 days of the year is the first thing I do, is really check Twitter, and then move along. And then, yeah, man, every day is a little different. And that's the cool part. There's not a day where there's not a typical day. I mean, I would say the most typical would be game days, because is such a regimented schedule, and those are long days between, if I make it to Warrior for morning skate, or if I'm at the Garden preparing for the night's game, And then, the time in between, and then the guys showing up in the game, and then between the game presentation, the broadcasting, the PR, the media relations, all of those things that I'm kind of checking the boxes on, and I have an amazing team of people who works on all those things that work for me. So kind of making sure that they have everything that they need to succeed for that game and provide a really great, curb to curb experience for our fans that are coming to the game. And then, the game ends, and then you got a couple more hours of work just to make sure that everything is going the right way, more on the media side at that point, more on the player coach side, making sure that whatever is being disseminated to the media access that we're giving, seeing how that's playing out, and then, getting out of the garden at midnight or so. So those are long days, and those are probably the most normal days, to be honest.
Looking at your resume, right? The LinkedIn profile, you attended the Yale School of Management a few years back. Tell us about your experience there. Cause you think Yale, very prestigious university, 2+ hours away from you. You think about the School of Management program and you think about living on campus, et cetera. But what a lot of people don't realize is that you got executives coming from all over the world. I mean, Norway, guys are flying in every other weekend from Norway. Tell us about that whole experience.
Yeah. So, like 2015, that fall, winter, I kind of made the decision that I wanted to round out my professional experience by adding more formal business training. I was a political science major at Holy Cross. So my kind of business training had come on the job, and there's no substitute for real life experience. So I'm not diminishing it, but I wanted to round it out with a more formal business training as well, and kind of complement it. So decided I was going to get an MBA, but I wanted to keep working, and I was passionate about continuing to work, and had a couple kids at the time. And, there were a couple options in the Boston area or in the New England area that made sense, that would allow me to, continue to work, but commute in and to still get the full MBA experience. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a regular MBA degree, the full MBA experience. And Yale has a fantastic program that allows you to come in every other weekend for, a couple days. Besides that, you're doing a lot of virtual work, a lot of teamwork, which it actually prepared me more for COVID probably than ever before, with the amount of virtual work we did and video conferencing and video meetings that we did back then, which, I think was an advantage when COVID hit, because I had already been through this and functioned in a way for a couple of years. So for 2 years, commuted back and forth to New Haven, and man, Friday mornings were tough because we generally play Thursday nights at home. So generally, like, I'd be leaving the garden around midnight, getting into bed at 1, and then I'd be on the road by 5:45 in the morning to drive from Cohasset, where I live, Cohasset, Massachusetts, just south of Boston, to get to New Haven in time for, the 8:30 class.
I know what times the classes ended, because, it wasn't 2 hours after that, the black SUVs would roll down my road.
Yeah.
And all the guys would get out with their hockey bags to come skate at my house till 1 a.m. again. I don't know how you pulled it off, man.
Yeah, I don't know. And then usually Saturdays would be in class until 4, and then I'd buzz right back because we usually play home games Saturday night. But no, I mean, I think the coolest part of Yale, and I don't know. I mean, like, listen, the work, it's Yale, right? Like, so you're doing high level work by world-renowned professors, and that was amazing. And I knew that. Like, I knew going in that I was going to get that. What I didn't know is, and what I didn't appreciate before, was like how you're going to have this melting pot of all different backgrounds of executives, from whether they were coming from, Europe. We had a guy from Norway. We had a guy from Germany, France. We had a couple guys from South America that are coming up. So like and then all the different industries that they come from. And you kind of got there, and you worked real hard in the classroom, but then you found ways to enjoy things with like-minded people when you're away from the classroom. I mean, during the winter, it was hockey. Spring, summer, fall, it was either golf or squash. And like, you just like, you left the classroom after sitting in there from 8:30 in the morning till 5:30 at night. And you're like, okay, like, I got to do something to move. Like, I got to move around and exert some energy. So it was amazing. And then you became part of that New Haven Yale community and, met awesome people like you along the way.
Oh man. Thank you.
You play hockey with and enjoy time with. So
let's talk about that, because the listeners got to hear this, man. This is a fun experience. So for those of you who don't know, there are two different management, school of management programs at Yale. There's full timers. There's like they have a hockey team, a club hockey team that they have like practices like 2 or 3 days a week, and then they play games, right? And there's like probably 25 people on the team, right? And then you've got the ESOM program, which you were involved with, and you guys had literally like a ragtag bunch of guys coming in together, just, maybe 8 or 9 skaters. A couple were really, really good, to include yourself. And in history, if I remember this, this could be a campfire story where it starts here, and then by the end of the campfire, it's completely different. But by the end of this time, it goes around the circle, it's completely different. But in history, I don't think ESOM has ever beat the School of Management team. And
you know what? Like, I don't know the exact history. I know that in the time around when we were there, like that certainly hadn't happened. And for us, it was there was a lot of pride in that. There was a lot of pride in that game. Dude, like challenging those guys and then winning that game. I mean,
Engel's rink was packed. It was
no, our classmates came out. It was awesome. It was
so tell the listeners about your experience in preparing for that game. Come on, we gotta talk about how much fun we had.
No, I mean between playing there at the Whale before, practicing there, and then practicing in your backyard, probably for, I don't even know, man. Like it felt like, again, like memory fades, but it feels like we practiced like 10, 11 weekends in a row of like either the Whale or in your backyard, just skating like till all hours of the night. And then just like, the first game we'd ever played together was against those guys, right? And and girls. So it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, there was people were dressed up in like outfits, like they had like
like our logo. Remember, we made up one of our guys, Poppy, made up those jerseys where he had he took like the Yale golf logo
but with a hockey stick
in the golf club. Yeah. And we had the hockey stick in the mouth instead, breaking. That was our jersey. Still have that jersey hanging in my closet. Which is fun.
Somebody decided to print 110% as my number or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I got to be honest with you, I haven't worn it since, but
should have worn it today. I should have worn mine today. I didn't even think about it.
You wore it today? You skated today?
No, I meant on this show, on the podcast.
Oh, you should have worn it. Yeah, we should have run it. So marketing, Major League Soccer, sports marketing, Boston Bruins. What is one thing you wish you had known before you began your career?
One thing I wish I had known, huh? I think just the time commitment, like it's significant, man. Like what we do, it's not a normal 9 to 5. Like it's not a piece of, it's not, and I think as you get older, like that becomes the hardest part, right? Like the balance. Cause like then you're so in love with what you do, but it's, as you have kids, like I now have 3 kids, 7, 5, and 3. And like, that's hard, man. Like it's hard you can't do this job effectively without being here and without making the commitment to, the time commitment that you have to do. And that's hard. I think that's hard. And that's something that, you wish you'd known. I think the other part that I got lucky because of the Red Bull piece, I think, because of the internet and social media, the world has become smaller and smaller, kind of every day. Right. And so the more global experiences you can have and international experiences you can have, and I think this is true for marketing, just about anything. Like the more global and international experiences you can have, the better you're going to be able to do your job, right? Like people are so transient now. Consumers, whether it's of sport, of content, or products in the CPG world, they're from everywhere. And I think having global perspectives is so critical to being successful. I was lucky, like I probably didn't have that and didn't have an understanding of it. And then Red Bull bought us. They're an Austrian-based company, and I had a chance to travel to Austria a few times and get to their headquarters and understand it a little bit there more. And then I think, hockey's and soccer are global sports. You have fans from all over the world and players from all over the world. And then, you go to Yale and, there you have classmates and professors from all over the world. So I think I have a greater appreciation for it than some do, but I think that's the part that I think everybody needs to understand is in the marketing world and the marketing landscape is how truly small the world is becoming and how important it is to understand different perspectives and it helps you in just your understanding of consumers, So
In the spirit of career, in the spirit of a breath of fresh career. By the way, I tell a lot of people, but our son Eli came up with the name, a breath of fresh career. I thought it was really cool. He's a little marketer.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah. He's totally manages my TikTok account too. What advice would you give someone? What advice would you want to give someone that is looking to pursue a career similar to yours?
I think that it's a career where it's really challenging to get into because there's a lot of people who think on the surface that they want to work in sports or are passionate about, played sports growing up and think that it would be fun to work in. And it is, but I think if you really want to make a career out of it, like you got to start early. You got to start with, internships and the grind at an early age. And you got to make that commitment that it's what you want to do. It's, we don't play the sport, but the commitment level is similar. Like to get your first break and then to, take advantage of your first break. I think it's really important that you have that, commitment, day in, day out to this is what you want to do. And it's unfortunate at times, but you miss things when you're younger or when you're breaking in and at a young, whether it's, not being able to go out with your buddies or you're not able to go on trips because, it's like, as we mentioned earlier, like it's such a 24-hour a day, 365-day a year business that you have to have that commitment levels, especially at a young age when you're in entry level and more junior positions. Like that's the way you work your way up is having that passion and the commitment. And I think the other thing too is it's passion for the business and commitment to whatever your vertical within the business is. And that's important too, like I think that the worst, when you're interviewing people for jobs or you're talking to them about something in sports, kind of the last thing you want to hear is, well, I really love hockey or like, I really love sports. Yeah. Everybody, the chances are that everybody who's applying for the job loves hockey or loves sports, right? Like, it's more about what's your secret sauce? Like what differentiates you from somebody else that like, yeah, we get that you love hockey and you love sports, but what really is the thing that is going to make you help our business? Because at the end of the day, like we're an entertainment business. We're hospitality, we're entertainment, and those are the dollars that we're fighting for. It's we have competition in the marketplace, whether that's movies or shows or other sports. Like that's our job. Our job is to connect with the fans and try to help the business run, so that way we can then spend more money on the on ice product and like allow the hockey ops group to do that. So that's our job is to help the team succeed off the ice, and that's really what people should focus on.
Matt, it's crazy how many times I've seen this happen. Like these conversations just lead us to the next kind of like thought or next question, and where I was going was, let's talk about some of the key characteristics you look for, when you're interviewing candidates to join your team, and you just said it, like, why do I want to hire you? Like I've got a client that says, the first question he asks candidates when he's talking to him, this guy's like the VP, like you are VP of marketing. This guy's the VP of worldwide sales. He asks the candidates like, what makes you special? Think about that. So tell me, what do you, aside from, liking sports and liking hockey, right? It makes you sick hearing people say that, but there got to be a couple other hot buttons that people hit that that you can share with folks so that if they are looking to pursue a career like yours, it would help?
Yeah. I mean, I always look for thinkers and problem solvers. I think that's a lot of like, listen, like as I touched on earlier, like our business adapts or changes rather so fast. Whether it's new social media, new digital products, like new ways to connect and engage with fans, new game day experiences, or things just, that come up that are going to be different and new. And like, so the first thing is like, you don't want people who come in to an interview and are like, well, I know how to, I've been in sports marketing for 7 years and like, I know how it's done. Like, I'd rather someone tell me like, yeah, like I have some experience in sports marketing, or I have some experience in the CPG world marketing, but like, I'd like to be a problem solver and think, and like, I like to challenge the norm, and I like to, like, there's nothing worse than that. Like, well, that's because it's how it's done. Or like, there's nothing worse than like, well, we can't do that. Well, why not? Because it's always done this way. Well, that's not a good answer, like, because things are going to change. Like the world is changing so fast. And there's always going to be a new challenge for a brand like ours that has fans that are so passionate about the brand and what we stand for and who we are, that you want people at any level, whether it's entry, mid, or senior level, that want to think and embrace, that kind of both the culture of the Bruins, but also a change culture, like a positive change culture, and knowing that you can make change to adapt with where the business is heading and to grow the business without losing sight of who the brand is and what the brand means to our core consumer.
What's next? I mean, what's next for the industry? What are you seeing out there?
I mean, I think like TV and the evolving nature of TV and digital media and kind of the nexus of all of that. Like, I think that's the next piece, right? Like, as
Connected
like
TV.
You just saying, like, Eli set up your TikTok account, like how you consume media is different than how Eli consumes media. And like, we have to always work to maintain the relationship with you, but we have to cultivate this new relationship with consumers at Eli's age, so that when he moves on to college in 4 years and then has some disposable income of his own that he gets to decide where he wants to spend it, like, we want him to consider us and consider a brand like us for him to spend that money, right? And so
right now at 13, Matty, he wants to be playing there.
What's that?
I said right now at 13, he wants to be playing there.
Fair. And we love that. And selfishly, as your friend and Eli's friend, I'm rooting for that as too. But
I know, right?
like him and his buddies, like that's like, we want to monitor their consumer preferences and how they're going to consume our product,
Well, I've sent you videos, man. He skates in the backyard with a pasta jersey on, you know?
Yeah. And so that's what we can only put 18,000 and change in the building every night, but we want to reach hundreds of thousands of more fans daily. And so how do you do that? And which is the best way to connect with them? And so I think seeing how TV's going with the cord cutters, seeing how the digital landscape changes and how fast it changes, what the next social media is that comes out, like what are these things? That's where, I think that's where it's going, and that's what we're monitoring. And then the rest kind of falls along, right? Like, we're always going to sell sweaters. It's just a question of how we sell sweaters. Like when I came, the majority of our sweaters were sold in a store. Now they're sold on our e-com platform, like it just, and like, what's going to be next? Is it going to be selling through social? Like, what's that next piece where it's going to be in 10 years? Like, no, this is where we sell the majority of our merch, or like, how do we sell the majority of our tickets, et cetera? So,
it's funny you bring up e-com. I'm into technology. What I do at Woodbridge Worldwide is help to build marketing technology companies, quite frankly. How much influence does the NHL have over your solutions that you can use, that you can work with? Are there global contracts, or can you go out and get, your own CMS, or your e-com platform? How does that work?
So e-com and kind of web development is on a centralized platform for the league. And then things like CMS and all that would be ours.
Got it. So it's program specific. Yeah. It's team specific. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the questions I ask, thank you for that, by the way. One of the questions I ask every single person that I bring on, every guest I bring on, is 3 people that have influenced you or been most influential in your life. Who would they be?
Well, my dad, for sure. I mean, that's just a natural, right? Giving me every opportunity that I've had, you think my mom and dad, I'll call as one unit there, but your parents for sure. I think that for sure is number one. I think, I had a dean at Holy Cross. Her name was Mary Pat Tranter. Dean Freege. That was my high school teacher. Dean Freege was a dean at Holy Cross who kind of pushed me when I knew that I didn't want to go into law, who said like, okay, well, you can, you don't have to transfer, you don't have to major in sports marketing or sports business or even business. Like you can create a career and learn, like take this liberal arts education and learn how to think and apply it to other things. And really pushed me to do all the internships and to kind of have this like 2-lane undergrad experience where I got the classroom experience and the Holy Cross education, but also had this kind of supplemental education through the internships and the involvement. So my parents, Dean Freege, and then, here at the Bruins, I think, Cam's been, is my boss and the president of the Bruins. And so Cam Neely's been incredibly influential. I think I think we've both grown a lot together. We came around the same time to the Bruins. I mean, obviously he was here as a player before, but came as executives around the same time. And, I think we both help each other a lot. And I think he is the ultimate Bruin and connects with the fan base. But I think he also empowers me to do a lot of great stuff with our content and kind of brand management of the team. And it's been an amazing partnership, and I would give Cam a lot of credit for that as well. So those 3, my parents, Dean Freege and Cam Neely, I'd say.
If you were in my shoes interviewing you, is there anything that you would have asked yourself that I didn't?
Yeah, I think you hit on most things. The only thing that I would say is, the only thing that I would ask you maybe is like, I think each sport is so different. And I think that that's something that maybe a lot of people don't realize. But when you think about how revenue is generated in each sport, if you look at, including Major League Soccer, but baseball, basketball, football, hockey, and soccer, like we're all professional sports leagues, but the businesses and the business models are so different. When you talk about ticket revenue versus broadcast revenue, how many games, the number of games, the size of the arenas, there's so much that's similar, but there's also so much that's unique and intricate to each. So, in hockey, like the ticket revenue is so critical to what we do. The broadcast revenue and like the mix of the national broadcast revenue, and then your RSNs, your regional sports networks. So kind of, wading through those revenue streams is really important to us. Whereas some of the other leagues, I mean, listen, like all of those verticals are important to different leagues, but when you look at the size of different broadcast deals, when you look at the size of different venues, the amount of games in some leagues versus other leagues, I mean, I think you could find out pretty clearly like how the business models would be different. And I think that's sometimes things that people don't realize in sports is that, the leagues all have very unique structures, and with that comes benefits and challenges, right? And so I think that's part of it.
I mean, I think about pay-per-view. Look at that. I mean, look at boxing or MMA. I mean, like they can only fit a certain number of people, and then these fighters are making a gazillion dollars per fight. It's like they're getting the money somewhere.
Right.
It's crazy. It's completely different.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it, man. Where can can listeners best connect with you? Is it LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn's a good place. Yeah, LinkedIn's a good place, and send me a note. Yeah, that's a good place for sure.
I'll put a link to your LinkedIn profile in the notes for this. So, man, I really appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I know I've kept you over a little bit, but
Good, man.
keep up the good work. I guarantee you the fans, especially the ones in New England, they're already rooting for the Bees to go all the way, which is exciting. I've already started my playoff beard.
I like it. I like it. Me too. Let's hope it's a long, fun spring and summer.
Are you guys going out to Lake Tahoe?
Yeah, Tahoe on the 21st of February.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's,
I can fit into a hockey bag. So if
yeah, unfortunately, given all the the kind of the bubble around the way we're traveling right now, I don't think we'll get to experience much of Tahoe, but it'll the venue will be amazing, and I think it's going to be an awesome TV event. So I think
that's great.
It'll be really good.
I look forward to tuning into that. Well, Matt, once again, I really appreciate you. We'll be in touch here, and thank you so much for your time, buddy.
Anytime, man. I'm glad to do it.
All right.
It's cool.